can I have next question? The guy, second row. Oh, wow.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
It's okay.
This is
Grab the opportunity.
We all know it's difficult to get operating licenses for certain industries in Malaysia, right? How did you get your operating license when a government-linked organization is so obviously opposed to the idea?
That's why he didn't state his name, as you can be aware.
When I started the process of dealing with the government, I had hair. You just have to be, very thick skinned and just. There's no secret formula. You just got to be patiently persistent.
I think that's all he can say. Lady in front.
Hi, I'm very much inspired by what you were talking about just now.
Maybe you can use the mic. Can you use the mic?
Hi, my name is Joyen.
Bearing a question?
I'm using an iPhone.
Oh, sorry. What's that?
Yeah. All right. So, what's the first thing? Okay, I am very much inspired by your talk just now. In fact, you sound like someone I know. But anyway, I was very intrigued by what you said about leadership. You kept on mentioning leadership and all that. And from what I have heard, leaders are usually readers. So are you a reader? What do you read? What do you do for personal growth? And what was the most important thing you learned in the past year? Thank you.
Wow, what do I read? A very famous author that I respect and read a lot is Bill Watson. Do you know who he is? He writes or draws Calvin and Hobbes. Think about it, in all seriousness, I know I don't read that much, but Calvin and Hobbes to me, I really align my philosophy to that guy. 6 years old, incredible imagination, completely, disregard for all the constraints and, positional authority that gets imposed on him, and brilliant use of imagination. And I think that's the best thing you can get out of learning from others, is just the ability to imagine.
How does that link to leadership?
Well, I think, because, think about what people look up to you for, right? Do they look up to you, it's that imagination. It's, tell me about the possibilities. Tell me about how I can grow as a person. And you've got to visualize that. So being visual is key, right? And, I think, again, Calvin and Hobbes, serious MBA reading.
Right, next question.
Hi Azran, my name is Azran. I'm working in Spirit Malaysia. And so far it's the first year.
Oh.
Say hi guys.
These guys, we should applaud them because, for a Malaysian company, they're in the aerospace industry and they're making some leading edge stuff for aircraft computers around the world. Give them a hand,
I just would like to know, having such a great idea in the first place, how do you perceive people that would say no to you? I mean, sometimes you can become so ambitious, and then people will say no because you sounded differently. So how do you overcome that? Thank you.
How do I overcome that? It's not something to overcome. It's your life shouldn't be dictated by how people perceive you or what people do to you. It should be, from within, right? So, if I were to be offended by or taken aback by every criticism I got, every admonishment I got from the minister, kena masuk hidup dia kat Putrajaya. Why did you write Liberate Sydney on your plate? Take it off. Who do you think you are? Happens a lot. Gotta go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So just don't let it get to you. Just gotta keep moving, because what matters is not, who's criticizing you. The only person that you should really care when they're criticizing you is your customer, right? So when they really, send me the 4-letter words, that's when I really take notice. Because they're the ones that really are going to affect your growth. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to your team members. That's what counts. Everyone else, government, suppliers, regulators.
Next question. Any free tickets?
Nice try. You were not the first.
Right, yeah.
My name is Gary Chow.
Hi, Gary Chow.
Right, two questions. First one, right, you have in your speech, you have mentioned a few times how you face criticism of customers, when they see something's not, up to their expectations. So I want to know what's your conflict management style? One, dealing with customers. Two, I'm sure you have inspired a lot of us in this room and many other people outside. Right? Who inspired you? Who is your hero? Who makes you who you are today?
This is actually a loaded question because his business card says conflict management. Well, I don't believe, I don't believe so much in a particular framework or process because I feel it's very restrictive. I believe a lot in gut. If your gut says this is the right thing to do, it's the right thing to do. Your gut rarely fails you. So that's my inner compass in terms of dealing with situations. In terms of customer conflicts, by the way, the other thing I should tell you is you can't get too absorbed in every individual case because otherwise you're going to drown. You will collapse from the sheer size of all the problems that surround you. You've got to take a portfolio approach, right? Just as I said, if you get 6 out of 7 things right and you're doing well, same thing when you're dealing with customers as well. So for example, especially those in the retail sector, where if you get 80% happy, 10% don't care, and 10% are effing you all over and saying they will never fly with you again, you're doing well, right? Because if you go for 99% or 100%, you will either take on way too much cost, you get so distracted, right? So you've got to figure out, you've got to play the numbers, you've got to manage it as a portfolio. So you've got to know also when to give in and when to just say, you know what, that's all I can do, I'm sorry, thank you very much, I understand if you don't want to plug this again. So that's how I look at it. And yeah, not so much frameworks, but just compass. And that's not something you can explain, but you do have to train your people, and that's why spending time with them on values becomes important. That's a lot more important than giving them specific guidelines and process charts, follow this and all that. It's very regimented, right? Focus on instilling the right values. If you do the right thing, right? Even if you make a mistake, but your intention was right, great, I'll guide you. You got to focus on the values, and as a leader, you've got to exhibit those values and be consistent in exhibiting your values. That's what counts. What's your second question? Oh, who inspires me? Can I still stick to Calvin and Hobbes? The other favorite cartoon is Asterisks and Obelisks. that is one cool cartoon strip. My other one, you can see, I'm weird, right? It's not Socrates or Descartes. It's Calvin and Hobbes, Asterix and Obelix, and the third one that I really, is Bloom County. You follow this comic strip, Bloom County, 10 years ago, before you were born. But it's about a flightless waterfowl, a penguin that can't fly. Anyway, Google it. But it's these things that I think inspire me because, it's about not accepting limitations, that you can be much bigger than what people tell you to be. And I think that's key. I get really, to me, things that are really passionate, that really drive me, is when you prove yourself, when others tell you you can't do something. That's really what motivates me. And I love stories and ideas of people who just take on the world, grabbing the opportunities. Because the limitations, the true limitations of all ourselves is the one we impose on our own selves.
Right, I think we should have a question in the back. Yeah? I've been told... Oh, okay. Next one.
So I heard so many things about your great stories, what you have done in the past to make the Asia where it is right now, but I have not even heard a single word. How you put the safety level in action, how you implement the safety? Because in this industry, the aviation industry, as my brother is an aviation pilot as well, so one single second is counts for you. What happens to being the potential reputation, it takes forever to revoke your reputation. So what we have done so far to prevent all this disaster happening?
It's a very good question, and certainly, when we talk about our KPIs, simplistically I say 3 out of 4 hours the plane must be in the air. But underpinning that is, it's what is it going to take to keep that plane in the air, and that's something you have to focus a lot. Kid you not, Airbus data, and I can open my laptop to show you. Airbus's own data, we have better operational reliability than Singapore Airlines. Right? And that comes, and people ask me, how do I do it? And the only thing I can think of is that organization when you don't have unions. Because I think the real problem with a lot of airlines, and by the way, accidents happen even if you're a full service carrier, is the flow of information, right? If you have a culture where information is open, you deal with the issues very clearly, right? If you have silos and and this is the problem with unions, because they say, oh, this job scope is just only this part. You cannot enter this person's job scope. You cannot enter that person's job scope. And it becomes very compartmentalized. Problems are always systemic in nature. So as a leader, the most important thing you can do is getting that information to flow, right? That's the key thing, because for root causes to surface, for you to have a disciplined process, you need the information to flow. Because if you have a very regimented culture, guess what's going to happen? When there's a small problem, the engineers or the pilots will not bring it up. Why? Because if they bring it up, they get whacked down, right? So as a culture, how do you instill that just culture? Information flow is a simplistic way of doing it, but it's the accessibility. If they know that, if let's say they can't go up to their chief pilot, their chief engineer, but they've got something burning, they can come straight up to me. Right? So simplistically, it is the information flow is what's going to keep the organization together on a safe and reliable path.
Right, so any question from the back? Yeah, gentlemen.
Oh, got microphone already. Very
Hi,
good.
Azran.
Hi.
My name is Melvin, and I'm a student from University Tenaga National. And my question is not going to be related to your talk today, but it's still directed towards you. From what I gather, you're a person who loves challenges, and you love completing these challenges. So, if I may I propose a new challenge towards you? And the challenge is to actually give a talk to a wholly different set of audience and a totally different hat which you're wearing now, which is as the CEO of AirAsia X. I would like you to talk to a group of students, not just as the CEO of AirAsia X, not just as an alumni of Stanford University, but by someone who, by norms, is unconventional. And this group of students are not just normal students. They are students who are bound for US, students who are like you, who have their own ideas of how to improve the nation and the world. So, would you like to take up this challenge? Thank you.